Hello, Booktube. I'm back. I took a bit of a hiatus, but I'm present again. Okay. And although I took a bit of a break, there is still much to share with you. Updates, activities, Bookish Texas, and ooh wee, you guys are going to want to stick around for our monthly discussion. I'm sure you're going to love it. But it's a wonderful topic that really hits home with all or nearly all of us. So hang around for that and join in with your own personal views and experiences. I'm sure you're ready to get this kicked off. So here is the late but ever present monthly check in for the month of August. Well, welcome back, y'all. It really has been a minute, hasn't it? I spent quite enough time away, but I'm still here, still around. There were no real issues, just a month long redirection of focus. Uh, some of it has a lot to do with my relationship with the VA. I've signed up for a new health study. There was a huge uptick in fitness exams through the VA, and another change of focus had to do with my occupation and employer. We had some annual refresher training and some recertifications, so I've been pretty busy. But let's get right into it with our channel updates and activities. First off, there was not a whole lot of information about any new YouTube changes or updates for creators or moderators for software or anything like that. So perhaps that's good. Are there any things about the YouTube Booktube community that you wish were different? And what about maintaining a channel within the community you like most? So fortunately, there's not much to talk about in that area. Usually it always comes with some form of having to deal with some pretty big changes. But none to report this month, so well, whatever, right? Um, so some of the things, some of my distractions, some personal influences on the channel and what I've been producing and haven't been producing, were is a huge development in maintaining family relationships. So my sons and I have been doing a lot more visitations this past month. There's a new television show series on TV, and the boys and I are both like really excited about it, really caught up. It's probably some of y'all as well. It is the new Alien Earth TV series. We're big Alien fans, Alien series fans, and so far it's been pretty good. I like the fact that it sticks so closely to original canon, and it's not trying to rewrite any of the story. So it's pretty good. And of course, Ridley Scott is still the active producer, which is awesome because he's so familiar with the original movie releases. So that's pretty good. And of course, it's also football season. So myself and my youngest, we're been following football. I'm not really a football fan per se. I don't have a specific team that I like most, but I do enjoy have something to talk about and interact with and relate to with my son. He is a Broncos fan, Denver Broncos, and has been for a long time, for several years, back when Manning was still there. He's a diehard fan. And it's funny because, living in Cowboy Nation and not being a Cowboys fan is like a taboo or something. I deal with it a little bit because I don't really have a team, but also I'm giving a little slack because I don't have a team. So I can't really say that I prefer a team over the Cowboys. So, but my cousin, I think I've mentioned this once before, my cousin is a diehard Cowboys fan. And just watching the agony is enough to not want to be a fan. But I watch both the pros and college. And I guess one of my, partly because I live in Texas and I'm very fond of Texas, the Texas Longhorns are one of my favorite teams. But I also like Michigan because one of their running backs, Koran, I used to follow him quite a bit. He's in the pros now, but Michigan was, and then of course just recently they've been in some bad publicity, been in the news a little bit for some of their behavior, but good football, and so yes, so our movie nights has come into movie night football MNF, and then of course our actual movie nights have been moved to Tuesdays, and now that's called Television Tuesday because the TV series is not, it's on Hulu, but you know, this day and age that's considered television, right? So yeah, anyway. So yeah, there's been quite a bit, you know, with training for work, with the house, with the VA. I've been pretty busy. Still have some interaction with bookish things, bookish events, and just been too busy, really, to take time out. A little bit of a fatigue roller coaster that I've been going on, but you know, we're here, and so. Oh, and not to mention, I mentioned it once before, but not to forget to mention that I've returned to gaming. So yeah, so that's something else. My PlayStation 5 has taken a new priority, and oh my gosh, right? It's been kind of crazy. So I don't really I really don't have an excuse for that. I just been playing a lot of video games lately. So yeah, reading has been a little put to the side, maybe. So, but speaking of that, speaking of bookish events, keeping up with major book events across the state of Texas, our Bookish Texas topic has really become a task. And I have been recently fortunate because all the legwork, before I was originally fortunate because all the legwork was done for me, you know, pretty much. I just normally had one or two sources that I can go to where all the information was gathered and I could just do some research. And on occasion, I would pop up on a different couple of sites, but all the information was present. And I have recently found a new avenue or access point for being able to identify new and upcoming events. However, the information now is not as detailed as before. So there's still some legwork that I need to do. So even after I get the names of the events, on occasion, I still have to research each one for the dates, times, and locations. So that's been, yeah, a little rough. But with that in mind, I still find out about events and I end up researching more details throughout the month. So as I find out more information, I'll post whatever I find on the channel forum and then cover it in our monthly check-in. And so we will get to Bookish Texas on this particular video. So that's pretty good. So even though I didn't do much for the month of October, there was quite a few things that we did do. We released some videos that were pretty successful, right? So one of the things I did was the mini stories, the mini videos. Now the first one I did broke down into 2 videos, but I want to try and keep those in one video because when I break it down and have 2 separate videos, the second video did not get as many views as the first. And I'm not upset about the views. I'm just upset or kind of bothered by the folks that didn't get the full story, right? So the first one kicked off really well, and it would be easier if the entire story was completely inclusive. And since I don't want to make full length videos, I want to make an entertaining stop that people can check in on their lunch break and just get a real quick story, or whatever it is, on the go, hear a story that's not going to be too time consuming. And so I will get into longer full length stories, but I like the idea of doing the mini stories. And like I said, it was pretty popular. And I just wished that more people got both part one and part two. And that did not happen. So hopefully moving forward, I'll be able to keep it within the 3-minute short video limitation. So that is important, right? The first one, like I said, was about 4 minutes, a little bit over 4 minutes. And it's not preferred for me to break it down into 2 different parts. Not as a loss of interest, just difficulty in realizing that there were 2 parts and both of them were posted. Even though I linked them together, the part 2 got like half the views of part 1. So in the future, I'm thinking about refraining from splitting them up. I do really like the YouTube shorts format. So those videos, they tend to reach a larger audience, and not just the folks that monitor or subscribe to the channel. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I would love to be able to continue those as shorts. And what else? We did our book mail. Love that video. I love the support, and I love the fact that so many of you who have watched the videos and have become aware of the program Operation Paperback and have gotten involved in it. So that's really, really cool for me. I just think that that's pretty awesome, that the feeling that I get from interacting and being involved with the program is actually personified in most of y'all's responses and the willing and eagerness to actually get involved with the program. And those who I have made aware of the program, I know for a fact that if y'all are getting involved into it, then those people who are recipients of your help and your assistance and your participation are going to feel the same way I feel. You guys are wonderful people. And the people at Operation Paperback have to be filled with book lovers, because they love the community, they love their veterans, and they love books, and they have access to books, and they share their appreciation through that. And honestly, those who have gotten involved through being made aware from my channel, you guys are the epitome of why I've enjoyed my contact with it. You guys are Booktube has been real kind to me, right? And so the people at Operation Paperback, they have just really, really, really heartfelt volunteers, and I love them. I love them. So, yes, thanks so much for that. And what else did we do? Oh, yes, we did do, we haven't forgotten about Where Would You Read It? I love the little group that has gotten involved with that. That has become like a routine thing for some folks, and we will get back to that. My reading has been really, really, really sketchy this past month. So not much to share in that area, but we're getting back into it. And I just got to get past the books, which we'll cover in our RIP. There will be a little different approach to my RIP list, but it's going to be more in line to what the RIP list really means. It's one of the reasons why I don't really do TBRs. But I have been, for the purpose of trying to share more book titles, have been inadvertently creating a TBR list. I read approximately 1 to 2 books at a time. And even though I have a list of books that I may be interested in reading, almost every single book I'm interested in reading, I tend to want to make an announcement about what I'm going to read next. And that really hasn't worked out well for me because I'll tend to change. And it's funny too, because when I really first started this channel, I really wanted it to be more focused on, my rip list would be to reading together. For those people who didn't have a title or was interested in some of the titles that I've come up with because of my book reviews and stuff like that, that when I'm participating in a rip, that others would read with me, so that when by the time I finish the book and do the review, I can actually get folks who have currently read that book, just like recently read it, and be able to interact with them. And so I was starting, if you guys have been around for a while, you'll remember that I used to make announcements of what I'm reading and how I acquired that book so that others can acquire it and read along with me separately. You read it at home, I read it here, and then, when I do the review, we can come together and talk about it. But I really didn't handle that well. I don't know if I did it or not, but it didn't happen the way that I would hoped it happened. And many folks those who did want to participate had troubles with acquiring the books because I don't normally read up-to-date, common, popular titles. And so I find them by accident. I find them through the local library. I find them through some hearsay. I find them through like a recommendation from some of the reading apps that I use, because they look at the books that I read and they will recommend another book for me that's along those same lines, which means that they're not a more recent, more popular title. And so finding the books isn't always easy. And I realized that. So I got away from actually trying to read along with folks and began to talk about, what I wanted to do was make the announcement of what I planned on reading, which was creating a bit of a TBR in the hopes that people can look for the book in advance. It's okay, we're reading this one, we're going to move to this one, and then people would have time to try and find and locate the book so that we can read along. But that still, I had already lost some of the group with the original approach. And so I just got away from doing it that. And ended up starting making announcements about books because I wanted to talk about more titles. And inadvertently started creating a TBR list. But then because I had gotten away from trying to read alongs, when it was time to read the next book, I would have come across another book that would caught my attention more. I would have lost the interest in a TBR announcement. Announced it as a rip, a reading in progress. But by the time it came time to read it, my attention would be drawn to another book already. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't really like TBRs, because I have a tendency to change them so much. So yes, so we did release some titles. There's a bunch of them. I think we listed like 4 or 5 titles in the July books that I was going to be planning on reading for August. I'll be honest with you, I did not get through them. So we'll cover that in the rip section of our video. And lastly, there have been like multiple trips to like the free library. I haven't been to the public library. I'll be honest with you, I still have 2 books I think there's 4 public library systems, and I am enrolled or registered for 3 of them. One of them I can't because I'm not a current resident in the local area. There is a town here called Euless, and Euless has a fabulous library. Aquarium is pretty modern. It's pretty cool. I like the way it's set up. And although it's open to the public, I am allowed to go there, grab a book off the shelf, and sit down next to the aquarium or some of the art that's located in there and read on property However, since I'm not an ULIS resident, I'm unable to check out books. So I'm able to use the services, but I have to have a ULIS address to be able to register a library account. So unfortunately, I can't do that. But there is still Fort Worth and Saginaw, which are the two main ones. I currently live in Saginaw and have been a member of Saginaw Public Library for a while, but hadn't been for quite some time because I was living more in another area of Fort Worth. And Fort Worth is huge. I think there are 10 libraries, 10 public libraries, at least 10, in the Fort Worth Public Library District. So, but I have books checked out from Saginaw that have been checked out from Saginaw since February, maybe February. And I haven't, I've held on to them because I haven't done the book review for them yet. And I wanted to have the book present. I need to turn those books in because, yeah, fortunately, I don't know, I haven't dealt with Saginaw in a while, but fortunately, Fort Worth doesn't have a fine policy anymore. They'll put it on there, but the moment you turn the books in, all of the charges against you are just dropped. And they don't, some places, like when you used to have DVDs, remember DVDs? If you didn't turn a DVD in on time, they would charge you the full price for the DVD and let you keep it. The Fort Worth Library, when I was young, the Fort Worth Library used to do that. They would charge off the book to your account, and then you would come back in and you would have to pay your fine, and the fine would be the price of the book at the time for the price that they sold it for. But you wouldn't have to turn the book in; you would own it. Fortunately, Fort Worth doesn't do that anymore. There was a lot of people that just didn't come back to the library because they had fines, so they didn't want to like run people off. So, yeah. So fortunately, I don't know. I don't know if Saginaw does the same thing. Now, I don't know if my account will get suspended. I don't know if they are going to actually physically charge me a fine, but I got to get those books turned in. I got to get those books turned in. So anyway, one of the distractions I had for this past month was the fact that since I'm spending so much time at the VA, going through all these programs and trying to get so much health and services done, getting my eyes checked out. I'm like really trying to pay attention to my health. So I'm in part of this metabolic syndrome study, which it's all about how your lifestyle affects your health. And so it's a study, part of the MOVE program. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but the Fort Worth, not the Fort Worth, but the Department of Veteran Affairs has these health programs that are designed specifically to provide functions for veterans. And the MOVE program is their fitness program. And it does more than just exercise. They used to have yoga classes. They used to have like fitness program, any kind of whatever physical fitness program that you had or approve of the most. There was a program or a class for that in the MOVE program. And so they've gone away from that. I think COVID really put a hit on that and really hurt them pretty bad. But they're starting to bring some of those programs back. Now, MOVE didn't go away, but they have backed off quite a bit. But now they are returning. And so they don't have as many in-person classes. And so this one here came up as a voluntary program. And more of just teaching, it's more of a study. So it's more of an interactive. What is it about your life that works? What is it about your life that doesn't work? And how can we create a better living regimen that promotes your health? And so I'm a part of that study. And because of that, it's a physical in-person class, and it's held at the outpatient clinic, which is basically, it's a clinic, but it's almost more of a hospital. It's more of a treatment clinic, basically. And so I get a chance to go and spend more time there. And at this clinic, there is a free library there. So I've been spending a lot more time at the free clinic and a lot more time at the free library. And so I have a large list. I do want to cover that. I thought about covering it as part of my RIP for this month, but I've got 6 books here that I'm actually going to put them in a separate video as a book haul from the local free library. So we'll do that. We'll do that. And with that, we are going to move into our RIP list, right? So our reading in progress has been very laborious. I can't really state it enough. I literally am currently reading 2 books that are taking me forever to finish. So I really haven't, I can't say that I've had much to read this month. And I mean, like, really, like, the least amount of reading as far back as I can think for this month. This month of August was not a time for me to celebrate how much I read. And so it's kind of funny, perhaps ironic, but since I've already admitted and declared that I'm pretty much a slow reader, I was really slow for the month of August. So since that, I originally thought that I would cover my RIP with a few titles I would normally have acquired from the library and what I plan on reading up next, TBR. But instead, I'm going to review the books that I'm actually currently reading in progress. So we're just going to give a more detailed report of the books I'm actually reading. And those books are The Black Sultan from L. Ron Hubbard, and also The How of Happiness by Sonja Lyubomirsky. We'll cover that in a minute. So let's talk about L. Ron Hubbard. Now, L. Ron Hubbard's book, I grew up staying away from L. Ron Hubbard because of he was announced to me as a bit of a taboo because of his appreciation and love for Scientology. Of course, it wasn't a thing back then, but he made his announcement, made his approach, whatever. What am I lost for words here? But he became popular through the book Dianetics. I don't know if you remember that, but it is one of the leading manuscripts for the Church of Scientology. And so I just stayed away from L. Ron Hubbard. You have writers in his time frame, H.G. Wells and a few others like that science fiction was such a popular title. So this book was a gift from Operation, actually from Heinstein. This is the Heinstein program, Heinstein for Heroes, H for H. This book was, they became aware of me and sent me a one-time book package. I don't know if you guys got a chance. I think that was like one of the first book mails that we did, book mail number 1, where I received books from 2 separate parties, from Operation Paperback and H for H. And this was a book from H from H. And I've got quite a few more. I've got another title from him I do plan on reading. These are more novellas. And actually in this particular book, I think there's like literally 3 stories in here. One of them is the full story of the Black Sultan, and then 2 introductory, like the first 2 chapters of some other novellas that he's written. But I'm having troubles getting through it. This is a very short title. It's not even, it's 10 chapters. It's less than 100 pages. And it's taken me all month to read it. I think many of the reasons why, and we'll do a book review on it later, but one reason why is because of the fact that I don't really like his imagery. And I'm struggling with trying to connect with the characters. I'm having trouble trying to identify what's happening, trying to imagine and visualize much of what's going on in there. And I'm doing a lot of backpedaling. Now, there's nothing wrong with his verbiage. It just seems like he's too brief on details. And so it really is a novella. It really is a short story, and it's designed to just, cover like the basics of what's happening. And I don't know, for some reason, my brain was just not firing very well, and my imagination has been depleted. And it really, really hurt me from trying to read this book because I needed to be told more to be able to visualize the story. And then, of course, with its brief, I still don't understand the characters. It's like you really come in. It's not a big, from the beginning to an end type of story. You're literally coming into a story where the characters are already established, and they just make that known. They don't give you the reasons why they were established. You don't really get a chance to connect with these folks. You have to try and connect with them in short amount of space. And you don't know who to root for. You're told who the good guy, the bad guy is. And it just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. And so I've read it several times. And each time I've read it, I've not made it to the end. Yeah, I've started over, right? So, but I'm curious. I'm still curious to finish the book and also read the other one. I think I have 2 or 3 titles from L. Ron Hubbard. So we'll get to that. The next one, of course, was The How of Happiness. And this is Sonja Lyubomirsky. And this is actually a book on a study of how to achieve happiness for yourself. This is actually a help book. This is a nonfiction help book. And although one of the reasons why it's taken me so long is because it's a full book, but it is very repetitive, extremely repetitive. And some of the chapters would not be anywhere near as long if it didn't repeat itself. But an excellent book. These are physical attributes on things that you can do to achieve happiness. And it's not really achieve it. It literally tells you that happiness is a choice and that it needs to be maintained through behavior. It needs to be maintained through the things that you do and through the decisions that you've made. And it tells you how. It tells you how to pay attention. There's a lot of stuff in there about mindfulness, being aware of your environment, being aware of how your environment affects you, how dieting affects you, how interaction with people affects you, and how it may change your attitude as to how you're going to react towards something and how to bring that back under control. So it is The How of Happiness. A very good book, in my opinion. However, you're just going to want to get past a lot of the repetitiveness. And that's my rip list for the month of August, and well into the month of September as well. And with that, let's move on to Bookish Texas. Yeah, Bookish Texas. So I got some stuff, and I have to apologize. It is so late in the month, and we are already halfway through what I've found for this month. Not a whole lot to say about that, but just extreme apologies. So I'm going to cover even the events that already happened. I'm going to cover the entire list, and we'll go from there. Okay, so starting September 5th, it's statewide. This is the month of, the month of September. Remember, this is the check-in for the month of October, but the Bookish Texas events are going to be the list of events for the month of September. So September is Hispanic Heritage Month. Okay, Hispanic Heritage Month, and it actually was 2 days ago. I think today is the 17th. Yeah, today's the 17th. So it actually kicked off. It's the entire month, but there were events that happened on the 15th, statewide. And if you know anything about Hispanic Heritage Month, and you probably would have already been a part of it already. Okay, so also we have the Banned Books Week. It's also statewide. It's all over it's not even just statewide, it's nationwide, but I'm only talking about the state of Texas. So statewide. Now, officially, the Banned Books Week is officially October 5th through the 11th. But the events will start the last week of September. So I'm announcing it kind of soon because we still got another week before that actually kicks off. And even though it's Banned Books Week, it's approximately 2 to 3 weeks long as far as the events will be occurring. Then, of course, you got National Cowboy Symposium, and that was in Lubbock, Texas. And sorry, that was September the 7th in Lubbock, the National Cowboy Symposium. Now, I believe that is an annual event. So if you're interested in it, just Google National Cowboy Symposium and you'll see the announcements for next year. Of course, and then a lot of these things are way out in West Texas. I'm not sure why I didn't get much for the local DFW area, but in my research, there's probably much because, of course, we've got the Doc Bookshop here, and we've got plenty of places for you to be able to research these book establishments, book societies that are here in the local DFW area. There are book signings all over the place. There are, of course, the public library system. I'm pretty sure Dallas County has got, is similar to Fort Worth, Tarrant County, where we have just multiple libraries throughout the county, and they are always doing some type of book sale, some type of book promotion, book release, an author's meet and greets. They're constantly all over the place. But most of the ones that I found that I'm announcing today are actually in West Texas. So if you're out that way, up in the Panhandle, or down in Central Texas, that is the San Antonio, Austin area, and I think Houston is on the edge of Central Texas. They call that the Centropolis. You hear the metropolis, that's DFW area. Centropolis is down towards San Antonio. Huge conglomerate of cities down there, like a major metropolis. So anyway, so then we have the Permian Basin Writers Workshop, and that is also in Midland, which is West Texas. That is from Midland up into the Panhandle near Abilene, but the Permian Basin is mainly that Midland area. And the Permian Basin Writers Workshop is this week. It's this week. Okay, and then of course next week, getting back into something that's a little bit more still hasn't occurred. We have the West Texas Book Festival, and that's in Abilene. Now, Abilene is up in the Panhandle. That is the 21st through the 23rd. That is this weekend. And also the Dallas Gun Show is also this weekend. So pick and choose. Actually, Dallas is doing. It's not just the gun show this year. It's the car and gun show. So there's going to be a car show and that's going to be down towards the marketplace in Dallas. But anyway, back to books. West Texas Book Festival in Abilene, Texas is next week. I believe that's next weekend, or this weekend. Sorry, the 21st to the 23rd. And then the last one that I've got is kind of up in the air. I believe it's the last week of September, but there is no definite announcement. There was a TBA on the website, but Nonfiction for New Folks Writing Conference in Rosenberg. And I believe that's out in West Texas as well. But Nonfiction for New Folks Writing Conference, and I believe it is the last week in September. And that is our Bookish Texas for the month of September, closing out August. And of course, when we do the September check-in, we will be doing the book event list for the month of October. Thanks for tuning in for that. And with that, we are going to go into our channel referrals. Now, I've got to admit, with the channel referrals, that although I had, taken a bit of a break from doing a lot of reading and a lot of interacting with the Booktube community, that includes me subbing and finding new channels. However, I do have two. So there's no channel spotlight this month, but I did come across two wonderful channels, and I want to share those with you today. So the first is Scott Woodard's channel, right? This is the Wild Digest. It's one of only two channels that I've interacted and subscribed to this month. But the channel host is a published writer, a tabletop game designer, TV producer, and book collector. Now, if you get a chance to visit his channel, you'll find quite a lot of topics and subject matters. It's a very entertaining channel for sure, with some very engaging material, right? I highly recommend that if you haven't come across this channel yet, take the time to do so. You'll be glad that you did. He's in the process of building his subscribers list. He has already superseded the 100 minimum to be considered a spotlight channel, because remember, our spotlight channels are the ones that we want to promote to try and improve their community involvement and get their channels out there. So, however, very entertaining. I love his disposition. Great guy. I got a chance to reach out to him. He did reach back to me. We communicated for just a bit, but I enjoyed what little bit of material. He's got quite a few videos up that I got a chance to actually participate in. So that was a pretty good channel. And the other one, a little bit more closer to a spotlight channel, is Amber over at I'm Reading It. Their information will be listed here on the video and also in the description, so you can go a chance and find them. But Amber is wonderful. Very sweet presence. Honestly, she's new, right? Like really new. The channel's new. The channel's young. And she currently has a limited amount of vids. So it's not a lot have been made public yet. But she is constantly growing, right? So she is up to date and she is releasing stuff. So it's a good channel to go ahead and subscribe to. It's a good channel to visit. She will have some more material. She's got the most darling demeanor, and she will interact with you. So really cool stuff. So those are the two channels for our channel referrals this month. Scott over at the Wild Digest, and then Amber over at I Am Reading It. And with that, prolonged, I thought this was going to be a short video. It's not. Let's move on into our monthly discussion topic. Yeah. Okay. So before I even get into the topic, let's talk about the actual title. I have been wanting to cover this topic for quite some time now. And I know I've mentioned it several times, and I just never got around to bringing it actually up and posting it as the monthly topic. I'll be honest. I've had so many very interesting topics, so many other interesting topics come up, and I decided to cover those first. This one has a tendency to be a little bit more detailed, and it's also broken down into parts or categories. So this particular topic comes in three parts, actually. And I really wanted to cover them in a connected sequence. So when I come across another interesting title that kind of drew me in, and I got a topic and it drew me in, then I just put this one more on hold, because I really wanted to make sure that when I did this one, I did them consecutively. And I didn't want to separate them and didn't want to interrupt them with unrelated subject matters. So honestly, I wasn't sure I would cover them as one particular topic or three separate ones. And I eventually concluded that we'll break them up. So that's what we'll do, right? So what are we discussing, right? How about book buying habits of the average reader? Yeah, interesting, right? It is my honest opinion that the average reader tends to acquire, read, and or collect books in three clearly identifiable stages, right? I will say that none of these stages occur in any specific order, and you will be able to like switch in between these different stages. But I believe that there is a more particular order that they more commonly experienced in, that most of us can relate to. And I plan on discussing each one in that specific order. So this month, I want to discuss what I consider to be stage one of book buying habits of the average reader. And stage one can be more accurately labeled as don't buy or why buy, right? Many readers in early stages of learning that they like to read books on a regular basis may experience considering how do they plan on indulging in doing so, right? Some of the things that average readers may want to figure out is how often, how much, what medium, and how would they acquire their reading material in the medium that they have chosen. They would consider on whether they wish or can purchase and how they can afford to continue to purchase, which is one of the reasons why they come to the final decision. I want to save money. I'm not going to buy books, right? So what are some of the things that may affect whether the opinion or the option of purchasing the book is the best option? Well, I can tell you what many considerations of mine were, right? And I've shared some of these before. I honestly started of thinking that I just didn't want to spend the money, right? But then it carried over into wondering what would I do with the books once I've purchased them. So we already know that I really was all about work, 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 and taking care of my family. So every single purchase I made was held in high scrutiny, and I could not afford to splurge. I could not afford to treat myself at the time, or at least I didn't think I could. I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to chance it. And then I thought, well, I've got a young family, wife, 2 kids. We're in small apartments for the beginning because when we got out of the military, right, I wasn't prepared to leave the military at the time that I did. And so we hustled to find a place to live. It fell through. And by the time I had to take possession of my family full time without the support of the military, I needed to find habitation quick. So when that happened, with what I could afford, we had a whole bunch of money that was just poured into trying to purchase a home or a manufactured home at the time. I had money just spread out all over the place. Didn't have quick access to it. It was all locked up. So I had to grab an apartment, and that apartment was what we needed at the time. And what we didn't need is a library. Bookshelves, we just didn't have the space for it. So I had 2 starting off the bat. I didn't want to spend money, and I didn't have a place to keep the books once I spent the money. And my thought process was I wasn't knowledgeable about like free libraries. I wasn't knowledgeable about book exchanges. I wasn't knowledgeable about buying a book and then trading it off. I had access to the public library. So just go to the library And I ended up going to the library and reading when I really took over, because I was bouncing from one job to job when I first got out of the military. And so when I finally got into security and personal protection, I ended up, even after clocking in, I ended up working overnight. And even though I'm working, there was a lot of downtime in between each of the tasks that I had to perform throughout the night. So I ended up, in my opinion, with an opportunity to read. Now, I first got into this industry and began reading. There's a lot of books and a lot of training materials. So I started reading that. And then after I've pretty much covered all of the occupational codes, I started talking about all of the policies and procedures for my job. I was losing the opportunity of having something new to read, and thought I'd just go to the library and fill some of that time up with some other stuff. And that's what really, really took off with the don't buy or why buy stage one process. And so I've never really had a lot of space to store books. And even though I've always liked having a large collection of books, both public and private libraries have always enticed me. And so honestly though, I just thought that that would be the easiest way to save money and save space, right? I was always trying to find ways of stretching my dollar back then, being able to still participate in hobbies without having to have a lot of high expenditures, which is why I considered reading to be just one of the most inopportune times to splurge on. So even though I didn't have the space, book buying was still a bit costly as well back then. So, books, I don't know, especially, I guess part of my thing was the fact that we didn't, I didn't have a lot of more knowledgeable information about non-popular books. So the books that I came across and knew about were all recent releases or popular books, and those books were averaging anywhere between $20 to $60 a book. And at $20, that's a week's worth of food for somebody who knows how to manage the money. And so that just wasn't an option. And that influence was what brought me barreling into stage one, right? And this is, why buy? Why? There's no really big reason for it. So with that being enforced, thank goodness for public libraries. And as I was getting more involved in libraries, the libraries started changing their policies because they want to try and get more people involved and continue to come to the libraries. And so as I mentioned, they started dropping their fees. They started creating more access to different things. They started providing with more services, access to libraries and libraries, computers, printers, and more services, reading materials. It was just, I don't know. But having children also encouraged me to stay connected with the libraries. I got my kids involved in libraries. They both had their own library accounts. And and then along came free libraries and book exchanges. I slowly started drifting away from going to the public library. I believe one of the reasons why that came about is because I did some traveling and I wasn't always able to get access to a public library. But I started attending some of these jobs, and I'd get onto the job site and they would have a free library or a free book exchange at the library held by its employees. Why buy? Why buy? So then free libraries, how about free reading apps? As we move further into this century, right on the cusp of registering, accounts with Kindle and Goodreads, I'm beginning to find out that there are other accounts like Libby and Hoopla. There are just so many, Wattpad, Kobo, Inklet. There is Novel Flow, and there's just so many more apps that you can actually access your public library And also other these, there's, what is it? I think there is a free library where it's just a library. It's an international library system that allows you to check out books. And then your Kindle, which is really great. If you have a library account, you can actually go on to the website of the library and you can actually check out a book and have it downloaded onto your Kindle. And then once your checkout period has expired, the book just disappears. You don't have to pay a fee. There's no, it's just, just get the book done within the time frame. And before the time frame, if you don't finish it, just put in for a renewal. It will renew and extend your reading period. And you have access to it right there. And then the Kindle, when it first came out, was a Kindle tablet, right? But now the Kindle app, don't forget about the app. I've got the app located on my phone. It's on my tablet. It's on my laptop. I have access to it pretty much anywhere. And I don't own a Kindle. But I do have a Kindle account. And so that's been made wonderful. So what are some of the reasons? Are you currently in stage 1? I am no longer in stage 1, but that is where I started. Are you currently in stage 1? What were the reasonings for you to pick stage 1? Don't buy. Why buy? And how? What methods are you using to be able to stay within that genre, that area, that category? Share with us. Just drop some stuff down into the comments. And like always, I appreciate you sticking around. And let us know what you think. Stage 1, don't buy. Why buy? Next month, we'll be on to stage 2. And with that, I want to thank you guys for being so patient. I want to thank you guys for continuing to come back to my channel and holding on. I've lost a couple of subscriptions, but only a few. And the most of you guys have stayed connected with me, and I'm so grateful. And I'm glad to be back with you. So, as always, y'all have a wonderful day and keep reading.